Okay, welcome everybody to the May 4th, 2026 meeting of CB11's District Needs and Budget Committee. My name is Sage Mason, and I'm the chair of the committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:35 p.m. Tonight we are joined by Khalid Nixon, or you're just subbing in for Angel, right? You're not the...
Yes, I'm just subbing in for Angel.
Okay, so the sub for our staff liaison, Angel Mescain. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. Nobody may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. If you raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon and you will find the raise hand function there. You should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should be used to discuss or pose questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. If you have questions, or members of the public, if you have questions or comments about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call. Committee members, please answer present when your name is called.
Excellent. Okay, committee members, there are 4 members on this committee, and 3 would be needed for quorum. Fernando Alvarez.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Sage Mason.
Present.
And Janelle Satija.
Present.
So you have a quorum, Chair.
A quorum is present. Fantastic. The adoption of the agenda. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. I have a change, which is that the executive budget that we were going to discuss has not come out yet. And that was sort of the main thing. So let's cross that out. And Fernando, I'll wait until we get to the announcements portion. But I don't know how much you know about sort of like the process. And so there might be a lot that you're just like wondering what's going on. And I'm happy to explain anything. And I'm also learning a lot because this is only my first year chairing this committee. Jessica used to chair this committee as well. And I mean, yeah, I'm still learning, but one great way to learn is by trying to explain it to other people.
Yeah.
So any questions are very welcome.
Thank
you.
Big takeaway is everything's late, right?
Yes. Which works okay for me.
Sure.
So the agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time. So we made that change to the agenda. Does anybody have an objection to the agenda minus that change? Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed ahead of time to committee members by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, any objection? Okay, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted. The minutes of tonight's meeting are being taken by me. Announcements. Okay, now I turn to the actual agenda. Okay, so the citywide survey of district needs, which is the sort of annual thing that we try and get as many people to fill out as possible, is now live. Do we have like a link to that, Clayton? I can check pretty far in my inbox.
I can do a quick search. I can find something.
Okay. The issue with the survey is that it is kind of takes a long time to fill out, and so a lot of people just start, which we get the responses on. Like if they start, we'll get the first couple of questions that they answer, but then the data becomes like less and less reliable because people are just like I'm only 20% through and I've been doing this for a little while. Which is one area where I think like the new submission tool that we have could come in handy. One project that we've been working on is making it easier for people to members of the public or anybody to give us feedback about district needs that they want to suggest or feedback that they want to give that the board can maybe take some action on. And so instead of this big tool where people are basically evaluating like every condition in the community, The district needs budget request submission tool allows somebody to kind of just be like, there's a pothole on the street, like, can we fix this, please?
It's through DCP.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, DCP typically sends out a survey, but I didn't receive that link. They typically send us something like a Qualtrics link, but I haven't received anything recently from our DCP liaisons. I only just have the link for our in-house survey.
Okay.
And the back end if you want to fill that out, but for like anything that's new for this year, I don't have anything right now.
I have it.
Have it?
Yeah.
What's the tool called?
So the budget submission tool, that's like our own thing. So you can change the name. But I think I call it like the budget request submission tool. But this survey is an annual thing released by the Department of Community Planning. Is that right?
I thought it was DCP, like.
Part of the city planning.
City Planning?
Yeah.
But I thought Mondani was gonna like change the name to something else.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Did you put the link in there?
Yeah.
I was just going to share my screen.
Oh, yes, then go ahead.
We used to run it internal, every community board had to run their own survey, but then DCP.
They centralize that process, right, yeah.
But then we have to wait for them and they summarize the data for us.
Yes,
Whereas we used to have to do that and that sucked because staff had to do it.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay.
So last year's one was the centralized one?
Yep, it was the first time we did the centralized one.
Is this going to pop up on the screen?
You're supposed to.
That's one of that codes.
Sorry, let me stop sharing.
Right.
There you go.
Cool.
Right.
So this is the survey. Basically it asks for people to rank their like top, and this is the first time I've gone through.
Oh, you're 33% done.
Is that different from usual?
I don't know.
I haven't gone through this yet this time.
You do a live.
There's only 3 questions.
Live selection right now.
Well, let's see what happens when we kind of go through, because so eventually, like, we just want as many people to fill this out as possible. And we will probably like print out QR codes and like have them on tables when we do events.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Xavier.
So I'm gonna expect you to do that again.
But yeah, I was surprised also when people were taking so long to do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's not that,
it is.
it is that kind of.
Yeah, a lot of people like would love to be able to give their feedback, but then they're just like, oh, let me do this later, and then they don't, because people move on to do other things.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah. So did they just put it all on like one page now? I don't know. So here's the top 3 issues. People will select, I guess. Actually, this is maybe we can all kind of take this back and see how it works in our own time.
Yeah.
But I wonder how they have. Okay, so it looks like
It's each topic.
yeah. I don't know if they limit these to 3 issues then, but these are all of the categories of possible issues. And maybe this is like a new and improved version. Oh no, so here's where you select your top 3 issues.
Oh,
And then this is like the second portion, which previously was on like a separate page for everything. Now it looks like it's all in one page.
and instead of opining, you're just selecting and that's it.
Maybe I'm gonna mess up the data a little bit. And I don't think we have any power to delete responses.
Oh, no, that's it. That's a submission. Don't submit it.
But it's only 66,
That's true.
67% done. Whatever. So we see it. We want to get people to fill this out. Eventually, we will get the data back, and this will be part of what helps inform our statement of district needs that we submit to the city in around October. And every committee will also like look at the responses, see what people are saying. So we'll see how this goes. But the, I guess, important thing is to get people to participate in it. So next agenda item, welcome to Fernando Alvarez. Yeah, it's great to have you on the committee. We are maybe the smallest committee. Yeah, David Giordano, or your predecessor, I guess we'll say. So he was on the committee. So he thinks because he was the chair of youth and education, that was like
Vice chair.
or yes, the vice chair. That was like an old thing that we tried to do where this committee was not staff, but comprised of the vice chairs of every committee so that those people would act as like a liaison to their respective committee and then bring back whatever like needs were discussed at their committee. That never really took off. I think because vice chairs have like various different like, I don't know, skill sets, maybe like interests in sort of the budget aspect of things. And so some vice chairs would just like not really do that. And then it was like, well, if we actually have like a thing that we're working on here, it's important to have people that are going to kind of like do that. Yeah. So now it's just kind of people that, I don't know. Why are you guys on the committee? Everybody has to be on two committees. But I do think we do, I would say like some of the most important work on the community board is just like not the sexiest.
Yeah.
Because the point of the community board is to really like liaise between the government and the community. And the way the government like works is that it funds services that it distributes to people. And we sort of are in my view, the body that gives input as to how those choices are being made. So I'm proud to be on this committee. Presentations and discussions, no longer doing the executive budget, but just as like an overview, every year the city budget comes out starting, I think, July 1st. Huge budget, over $100 billion. And it's allocated in various ways. It's a very like political process, lots of negotiations.
Is it because the state budget still hasn't been released? Is that the holdup?
I think that's part of it. But the state budget is always later than it's like supposed to be. But I think because this year we are projected to have a deficit that is more significant than in years past, which we had a presentation on from the Independent Budget Office a few months ago, which was really informative.
Here?
Yes. That I think there just is like less money to go around, and so the city is kind of waiting to see how much they're going to get from the state before deciding this. More so than in years past.
Maybe one thing we can advocate for on this committee is something like a running theme. It seems like community boards can't effectively do their work because we're constantly being delayed by things that are supposed to be done by a certain time from higher up government offices. But like this, for appointments to the community board generally, I don't think there's ever been a time where we got the budget when we were supposed to get it. And it makes it really difficult to plan and have effective meetings together. They have to be better so that we can do our job. What?
Sorry, I'm gonna email you the link for the minutes document.
Oh, okay.
See what you're talking about. Sorry.
I take the minutes locally so that, so that people don't see what I'm typing until later.
I'm gonna give you the link anyways, and then you can do that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't remember when the budget stuff would come in the past. But there always seem to be like changes being made to the schedule as it came.
Do you know when we're expecting it now? Then it was supposed to be released, right?
It was supposed to be released on May 1st. Now it's scheduled to come out on May 12th. Yeah, and after that, the city council will review that budget. I don't know if they have another round of hearings. I don't think so. But they will negotiate with the mayor's office and pass a budget, which will become the adopted budget, so that it can take effect in time for July 1st, or else there will be like the city equivalent of a government shutdown, because there won't be any money. But to inform sort of the beginning of that process, every year sort of that starts with us coming up with our budget requests that we submit to the OMB, Office of Management and Budget in the mayor's office, who is supposed to, when they come up with like a draft or preliminary budget in January, take all the community board requests into consideration. And when they so we are supposed to compile those requests throughout the year. We submit them in addition to our statement of district needs in October. They look at those for a couple of months, maybe give us some feedback in the interim, but that's not a requirement. And then in January, the mayor's office will release a preliminary budget, which will be our opportunity to be like, hey, you didn't do this. We want this. And then city council will also hold hearings during that time, which happened a couple months ago, for us to be like, hey, CB11 asked for a state-of-the-art dual district garage instead of a temporary garage, or I forget the details of that request, but
How much weight does the survey results or the survey data have in those requests?
It's hard to say because the requests usually come out of the committees, and so the committees that CB11 committees, the committees, like as seriously as the chair of that committee like takes the feedback on the surveys, will determine the weight that they put into that. And then even if they take it really seriously, like maybe the mayor's office just doesn't care.
And I could just add, I think historically, when we ran the survey from the community board side, and I think even this past year, the survey responses have been relatively low. So where, you know, some of them might have a lot of really great data, it's hard to understand whether or not they're emblematic of, you know, a more global feeling of that in the district, or if it's like, you know, just the opinions of one person. So I think if we can get to the point where we have hundreds, if not thousands of responses to the survey.
All asking for the same thing.
Right, or even it wouldn't matter at that point, like we would just feel like better about the data that we're getting, and then, you know, I think it would be more instrumental to, you know, us making decisions, so.
Yeah, things we've discussed are like having a geo located like ad on Instagram or something, the way like political campaigns do, where it's like fill out the survey. However, that costs money, and we have like $500, but I don't know if we're gonna spend it on that. And then it's like, what is the value of, you know, it's hard to say what we're getting out of it.
Right, only digital responses versus like, you know.
Yeah, and then it's like the data, you know, is that like an unbiased sample? Who knows? But I think in creating our budget request every year, it's really just like a totality of circumstances. Like you use, and ideally, I think you use the data from various sources, including the budget request submission tool, this survey now that's like centralized to the city, your personal like observations in the neighborhood, things people may have said to you. We also conduct public hearings, which we've had varying degrees of success with, and hope to keep getting better. I think we had one public hearing where quite a few people participated, and that didn't go so great. And we had one hearing where nobody participated, and that didn't go great for another reason, at least since I've been chair. And I think that is sort of a trend. So we want to keep working on that as well.
And I think that's why, like, the, you know, the Parks Committee, for example, created those garden tours and the parks tours, is because we weren't feeling like we got the responses we needed from the neighborhoods. So we're like, let's go out there and look for ourselves. So that informed the, you know, work that committee put towards this committee. Trying to deal with it over time in different ways, I guess.
So then the preliminary budget will come out, city council will do hearings and get some input. Based off of that input and discussions that happen that, you know, I'm not at this point privy to, The mayor will release an executive budget, deadline usually May 1st. Supposed to take into account the city budget, which is supposed to have come out around that time as well. I forget the exact date the state budget is supposed to come out. And then the city council talks, adopts a budget on the timeline, and then the cycle repeats itself.
When is the city council, do they have a deadline?
Their deadline, I believe, is June 30th. Is it earlier than that?
Angel and I have like a spreadsheet, it's like a,
The workflow?
yeah, the workflow one, and it has like every month and like what the government's supposed to do, what we're supposed to do. But if I don't actively look at it, I can't remember.
I'm looking at it now.
Maybe it's just a screen sharing.
Yes, that was, I knew I was screen sharing.
Okay.
But on here, we don't have city council. Oh, in May, testify city council. Okay, so maybe the deadline is, testify on executive budget to the council committee meetings. And this is from a couple of years ago as well. It hasn't been updated. Yeah,
Well, within the month of May, ideally, we would be going through this, that section of the workflow.
yeah.
But pending, of course, the timely release of like the executive budget and stuff.
Yeah. So maybe if there's an opportunity to get feedback, we can help committees draft testimony. But we pushed pretty hard for people to give testimony when the preliminary budget first came out, and nobody really did. It's hard to testify at city council hearings because yeah, it's like, you have to kind of go in the middle of the day. You have to wait for like all of the city people to go, and then, you go.
I've done that.
Yeah. What did you do that?
The teachers union.
Okay.
Small class size. Yeah.
And how was that?
It went well. I had to go after the DOE, so, I forgot his name. Adam Weisberg.
Mhm.
He made me change everything I was gonna say. Just replied to him.
Mhm.
Said so.
Yeah.
I think it went well. I got good feedback.
It's good, yeah. And it's good just to engage like that. Plus you get to see all of the committee members like in person. You can talk to your city council person, you can talk to the other city council people, the agency heads. I think it's a great way to just like develop relationships and see how things function. But I understand it is inconvenient for a lot of people, especially where in it's harder for people in other boroughs, but we're not like the closest neighborhood to City Hall.
And did Elsie say when she came to one of our full board meetings?
What did she say?
She said something about it's easier to fight for us or fight for the community when we have community board members go to testify.
Yeah, I think Adem probably like took a car down and participated, but I don't remember the detail. He was just telling me about it. And I submitted testimony to the Department of Sanitation or the Sanitation Committee, but from a personal perspective, not on behalf of the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I guess we will continue to engage and do our work as well as we can do it. That I guess brings us to the next agenda topic, which is engaging with agencies over the next couple of months. This is our district budget consultations. It's something we've wanted to improve on because the summer is like a great opportunity to bring in agency representatives, talk about exactly what we need, make it so that when we are submitting our budget requests in October, they're not seeing it for the first time. We can maybe change our requests so that when it comes across their desk, it is in a form that will like deliver a, basically the same, address the problem in a way that is like good for the community, but is presented to them in a way that makes it so that they can address it, rather than asking for like something abstract that they don't know what to do with, or making it seem like you're asking for something that is just not what they do, whatever agency we're talking to. Plus just like developing the relationships, knowing who like the point people are that are in a position to help you with various problems. So this month, one thing I want to do is just send out all of like the invitations so that hopefully committee chairs, but it might end up being like me and us.
Yeah.
We'll like meet with the agency representatives, talk about our requests, what we need, what they want to do, and try and make it so that they can serve the community as well as they can, using our familiarity with what the issues are.
I have a question. I've been wondering, I didn't think I was gonna ask about this today, but, the Mamdani made the, Office of Mass Engagement.
That might be what I was thinking about.
But, yeah, so he created this department or office. But it sounds like, in theory, it sounds like what we do. So I don't think he wants to like go around us. But do we have a plan to like work with them?
I think that's
Engagement from communities.
yeah, I think that's a great point, and that's something I've been thinking about. Hold on.
I hope it's not just like supersede us.
No, no, no. I think he's like a very inclusive mayor. Yeah. So there is like an issue with some community boards where it's like a vehicle for like NIMBYism, which is like I think like not what Mamdani is about.
Yeah.
But I think East Harlem so far has had like a good relationship with like being as inclusive as possible, being sort of like a laboratory for like social change and interesting policy ideas. And I think Mamdani's also noticed that, recognized it, and has paid more attention to East Harlem than any mayor in my recent memory, which I think was pretty cool. Gracie Mansion is right on like the other side of the border of the neighborhood. I think we just got to look into what are some ways we can engage with that. I need to learn more about exactly what that office is. And I bet the people there are also trying to figure out like,
Yeah,
what are we gonna do with this?
exactly. 'Cause it seems like we're both working on the same thing. Maybe if we work together, we can get more done.
Yeah, mass engagement.
Thanks for bringing that.
Yes, that's amazing. And I do think we have like a real opportunity with the new mayoral administration to engage more and have a more direct impact than in administration's past. All right. And then, so I guess I'll send out emails or I'll work with Angel to arrange that. And then what we were doing before, Fernando, is that each member of this committee is sort of like the assigned liaison to another committee. One of those committees will be like the other committee that you're on. So you would be the liaison for like youth and education. And then maybe one more. I think David also did housing or something like that.
Sorry, I have to get 3.
No. It's not. You don't have to go to the meetings.
You don't have to be at those meetings.
And we can also just talk about like what works for you. It's not like a heavy lift, so I can do like.
No. I would still like to be part of parks. It was frustrating that I couldn't make it to some of the meetings.
Well, I'm Parks liaison, so.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we can talk about it.
Whatever you, yeah.
Yeah, I forget what. I just have to. We'll figure it out. Also, after this, I would love your phone number. We can talk about. I noticed before you got here that I didn't have your number.
Oh.
But yeah, just talk about like what we need and what you're able to do. So yeah, everybody would kind of be responsible or is responsible for just like the communications and like knowing sort of what's coming out of the various committees, where they are on like their budget requests and stuff like that. And usually it's easy because you're just already going to the committee meetings because it's your committee. But sometimes there's one of my committees, I forget which one. And I don't really know what they have going on, so I have to, every once in a while, like watch the recordings, look at the minutes, send some emails, be like, hey, have you guys done this? And they will let you know. And we also have an amazing staff that will also take care of that.
I can join whatever other committee via Zoom.
You don't even have to go to most of their, you just have to, you're just responsible for that, for telling me pretty much
Yeah.
what that committee is doing.
Absolutely.
And yes, you can attend via Zoom, especially if you're not a member of that committee. Board members can attend, committee meetings if they like. They can. We have a board member sitting in right now, watching this meeting. So yeah, you have that opportunity for sure. Sure.
Oh, great.
Make him pounds, but I think he was super hard to reject it.
And did you write down the name of the other person?
Kira Jerez, Allison. Yeah, I wrote it, and I sent you the link. So you say
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we have a member of the public.
Yeah.
Great. You're doing important work. Yeah, so we will sort of figure out what your like liaison task is going to be. It's very easy, and if you think it's like you're too busy, then no problem.
No.
But you will ideally, when we do like the district budget consultations, like you would maybe be the person that's like, hey, when are we free? When's the chair of that committee free? When is the agency person free? And maybe you would go to the meeting that would happen probably in the board office and then just report back like, yeah, it was great. We met with this person. They were helpful. They run the parks department. Good to know. They say they're going to give us $1 billion for everything we want in the neighborhood. Yeah, so I'll send out those emails and let me just make a note of that. Schedule consultation.
One thing I would just say about the consultations, I think it's great to start the outreach now so that by the time they respond, it's probably like July and, we may not even have the meetings until August, but like, what I've experienced in the past is that they have the, borough budget consultations and they feel like they're doing what they need to do at that and they don't feel like they need to do the district budget consultations always. So I think as long as we like start outreach now and like we can be like, hey, we reached out to you 2 months ago and you haven't responded, like that's probably a good way to get them to do something.
Yeah, and I also feel like, I don't know if I'm just in like the honeymoon phase, but I feel like the current administration, like if you just told somebody else like, hey, we haven't heard back from this agency in a while, they'd be like, what?
Yeah, what?
And would do something about it, hopefully. And then, okay, so I'll work on that. We'll get some updates. And also we'll see sort of what's in the executive budget when that comes out. And I think we'll have a full board meeting after that as well. And we can, I'll give it like an announcement or something there.
Great.
And we can also talk about it. Yeah. I'll send an email about the executive budget when it comes out. Flag some things and you'll know what's going on. And I'll also send you a bunch of other information that I think will just be helpful.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, similar to the email I sent you.
Which is very helpful.
Yeah. And then the last thing on the agenda is our budget submission tool. Specifically, I updated, so we were working for like a couple months on just making it easier for the committees to continually evaluate budget requests in preparation for in October when we submit all those requests to the city. It's a really cool process because every agency like does actually respond. It's not always like the best response. But yeah, every agency in theory is like aware of every little request that we submit and tells us like if they're gonna do it or not. And if they support it or not. So it's just cool to like keep tabs on like the various needs that we have. But it turns into like a big crunch when like committees haven't thought about it, talked about it, even though I would say it's like one of the most important responsibilities that every committee has. Until October, and then it's like, let's just submit the same request as last year. And everybody is like frustrated because the meeting lasts like 3 hours, and yeah, people are like debating, like, no, that pothole, they fixed it. Like, and so I think it'd be great if just like it was just a more like iterative process. Like, I have a request, submit that in May, talk about it for like 10 minutes in a meeting, decide whether to add it or not. And so we've just been trying to improve that process.
You notice it in the open meeting things?
Yes, but only because I think I'm there.
Isaac's, before he left the community board, was doing a really good job of talking about it, like every meeting, like continually. I think that's the best way to do it, is like, to the point you made, this whole tool, like there's an opportunity to, like, ideally every request is backed up by some kind of, you know, letter or something from the committee. So there's like work that the committee would have done all year, and then it culminates with us saying, okay, all these requests, we're submitting them as budget requests.
Should that be on every committee's agenda? Like,
Yeah, we're trying to, one thing I've been advocating for in executive, and I think we may have, I haven't been looking at every committee's agenda. But in old business, the idea was pitched, and I tried to get Angel to like change the templates for every agenda so that this was like a default agenda item. In old business, you would just review the budget request. But right now, there's a bit of a backlog in every committee. Yeah.
When you're ready to run.
Please, Ashford.
Ash, I've been trying to make you a panelist. Do you want to accept that?
Don't do it.
All right, go ahead, Ash.
Sorry, it didn't pop up before. Sage, I'm gonna ask this question again. Were you able to add on the form the little note about the youth and education request for them to please fill out a committee present form before they submit the budget requests on the sheet?
I didn't specifically describe the presentation request form, but there is a button that somebody can click that says like, are you open to presenting if asked, if they're coming from an organization?
I'm just gonna bring it up once again that I think specifically, at least for my committee, what I'm trying to make the standard is people come and present, or request to present at least, before we putting stuff on the budget sheet, on the budget request sheet, because I don't think it's fair for committee members to for something to be put on the sheet, on the budget request sheet, without someone coming to present to us. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, yeah, I understand that view. My personal view is that it would be great for people to present, but I see like the board and each committee as like just trying to do a service to anybody who has an idea of like ways we can improve the community. And so if somebody has a good idea and they don't want to present, that shouldn't foreclose us. I don't want to be sharing that screen.
No, I heavily disagree on that, because especially what has happened in the past with youth and education requests is either people come and present, and then they just either don't show up to the committee for the rest of the time, or it's just people putting a request in, and it's not people who are actually from the school, and the school, you reach out to the school, and the school is like, that's not necessarily what we need. So I think it just, it actually, I argue, makes this a little bit more efficient if the schools themselves come and present about what they need in their school. And that's what I've been trying to do. It's been a little bit hard to necessarily get principals come at night, but I'm working with the superintendent to try to get at least one school per month for next year. But I just that's my reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I think the one school per month thing and just getting more schools to come to the committee is a great goal. Are you still wanting this like presentation requirement to just apply to organizations? Like, is it okay if somebody is like a parent and they just want like, I don't know, more funds? This is not a real request, but let's, for example, like school lunch or something.
I would say, yeah, I think that is fine just because I'm more talking about the capital projects because that's a lot of the requests we get. It's a lot of capital projects. And it could be, and like an example is like I've had like a parent from one school say that they want the they want a new computer lab or something like that. But then you're looking at the school and it's like the principal, you go to the principal and the principal's like, well, we need new electricity before we can have a new computer lab. I think it's just like the nuances and stuff that gets forgotten.
Yeah, I understand that. Oh, I got you.
Oh, that's great. I would just, I think the answer is in between both of you guys. I think that Asher's right that, you know, there should be some element of communication after someone submits a budget request item. Like, you know, it could be unclear. It could be, you know, we need to confirm what it is they're asking for, when they saw it. And like, I think it's an important part, it seems, for the capital request for schools, but I think just in general, like, we're gonna have the committee take an action ideally on a budget request item in advance so that it becomes a budget request item in our timeline, then typically there would be, you know, a presentation from an organization that's, you know, saying this is important and why we should support it. And, you know, while that doesn't have to happen every time, I agree with you that, you know, we wanna reduce the barriers for people to participate, but I think one of the minimum things people should do, especially if they're putting forward something for us to include on such an important list, is to be able to have a conversation with us, whether it's directly with the chair and vice chair of that committee, or if it's coming to this committee or coming to that committee, you know, so that there's some kind of conversation. And it's not just like, oh, every request we receive on this form automatically gets reviewed by the committee and becomes a budget request. Because it's like, we can't make, that's an unfair promise for us to make to the community too.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jessica. I agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, like maybe have something like, do you agree to be contacted, have an email address or something so that you can ask more questions? Because I think somebody, a member of the public, they might have a request, but they don't know the nuances behind what they're requesting. So for the computer lab example, like as a parent, yeah, sure. Someone said to me, do you want a computer lab for my kid's school? 100% yes. Do I know what else is on their budget list? Absolutely not. So I think there has to be some middle ground where for the public, they have some way of getting that information if they're asking something and the reason is no, like some kind of communication from us to say that's a great idea, but these are the reasons why not, or let's talk about it and explain to them they can't be on the budget this year.
Yeah,
We don't
I
want to
see.
be an enemy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but that's not my reasoning necessarily behind it, is what I'm saying. So it's, I think more it's just for, like I said, if that could be like a note or something, I don't know how necessarily you will go about it. Because I'm telling you right now, and I have said it before, youth and education requests, and I've said it in meetings, I'm not considering them unless a conversation is had first, because that's how we get overwhelmed with stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, Asher, would it, so this is kind of exciting for me because I have a new version of this tool that I want to present. And I wonder if there's like an aspect of this that already exists that you might see and think is also like a good solution to this potentially, but it would require, I'll show you right now if you continue being in the Zoom meeting. But for Fernando's,
I'm not going anywhere. I'll watch.
Thank you. For Fernando's knowledge, this is sort of this form that we've created. It's just a Google form. There's a link on the website. Enter your name, email address, your affiliation. what we did to sort of get, and so I'm also gonna have fun. I'll do a district needs email. District needs CB11M.org. So Asher gave this feedback and we tried to address it with this sort of compromise, because it's, it is true, like, and you're the youth and education vice chair. So it is true, like, you don't want like a million requests that you can't do anything about. I think youth and education is like kind of unique in this area because they might get more requests than other committees. My thing, just looking at every committee, I was like, I want as many people that want to submit requests as possible, because I think it's more likely we're not going to get any than it is we're going to get too many. But youth and education, I do understand it might be more likely to get some. So we said that if you click the button for like you are submitting on behalf of an organization, it asks you these additional questions. I think this is a funny title, impetus, for like, why are you reaching out? But maybe I'll change that because some people don't know it.
Like reason.
Yeah. What route you can.
Tell us your tale.
But if you are an organization that asks you these extra questions that it doesn't ask individuals, and one of the questions is like, is your organization willing to give a presentation? And so I might add, for like Asher and youth and education's benefit, just another note there, like youth and education requires that you be willing to present before they will evaluate your request.
Yes, that's exactly what I've been saying that I would prefer.
Yeah. I think that's fine. And I think that would help. But another interesting aspect, and so then somebody gets the next page, they submit the request. And then it used to land in this like Google Doc spreadsheet that is like kind of complicated. I don't know what to search to bring it up super quickly. Maybe it'll be here.
The receiving end for
it should just be recent, yeah. So this is like a complicated spreadsheet. I like messed with it so that buttons like link to things and you can get like approved and all that jazz. But this is like every request that we submitted last year.
Oh, this isn't the data from that request from.
It is. However, because it was our first year doing it, these aren't mostly new requests. Some are, some aren't. A lot of them are requests from prior years that we submitted, and then we resubmitted once all of the city agencies got back to us after the preliminary budget came out.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the Google form. The Google form goes to this?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So you submit on the Google form. Actually, yeah, what I meant to do just now was to actually fill one of these out. Name of organization, CB11, affiliation, member, impetus, CB11, yeah. Endorsed by the mayor. I don't know. Yeah, I'll present, link, not gonna do that, it's not required. Category, let's say youth and education. Choose, this part gets a little complicated. We might find a way to make it easier. Explanation, build, or here, computer labs. And then, and you don't have to actually answer this part. Actually, let me go back because it would be not too late. It creates problems if I don't have like a thing at the end that says, this is a capital request or this is an expense request. And so now that'll pop up on this worksheet. Way at the bottom. Yep. Computer labs. And it goes to the district needs and budget committee because it was like an ambiguous request. And then we would forward it to the correct committee. And because that thing was kind of complicated, we now have this new website that I built using AI. And this stuff is really magical. CB11M district needs and budget.org. And I'm already logged in, but everybody on the community board is like an approved member. So you just enter your personal, or in your case, it would be your like CB11 email. And it logs you in, or I don't want to do that. District needs CB11M.org. Sends you a link. Sign into the budget tracker. Boom, now I'm in. And now this thing lists all of our requests in like a more user-friendly format. You can filter by committee. So I can, if I'm on the Youth and Education Committee, I can just go Youth and Education. And these are all of the requests here for the Youth and Education Committee that Youth and Education should be evaluating like this month. Thank you. And you could help with that. So when this is just like on the agenda,
Yeah.
I just want like a link to this website so that someone just goes like, okay, let's see if we have any new requests. Because we are district needs and budget, these are the requests that we are supposed to evaluate. This is the one that I just submitted.
Yeah.
And to Asher's comment a couple minutes ago, I, am a little reluctant to the like immediate, like you have to agree to present. But I'm open to that if that's like what is best for the Youth and Education Committee. But an option on this thing would just be to message the person that submitted and be like, hey, can you present on this? Send message.
It goes to the president's.
Yeah, and so now that person just got an email. Ideally, I haven't, I think that worked.
And this committee is CC'd.
Well, we'll see what happens then.
Okay.
Oh, you can't see. I'm not sharing that part of my screen. Let me. Okay, that's so I just got an email.
Yeah.
The email CC'd the committee here, so it's like you can reply to, so it came from the District Needs and Budget Committee. And because I submitted it from District Needs and Budget, I'm also the recipient. So it says to District Needs and Budget, but it would have the correct parties.
So if any of us message sending submitter, it comes from still district needs?
You just identified an interesting issue that I hadn't thought of. But yes, right now, yeah, but like, so if iSage responded to this, an issue would be that if it was like a request that went to the District Needs and Budget Committee, I could speak on behalf of the committee, which is not what we want. So I have to think about that a little bit.
But no, it sounds.
Yeah, and then once you accept, you can add a note, the person will be like, oh, my request was accepted. And then it gets added automatically. And it also links to this like back end Google sheet that we had from before. This one is not going to work because I didn't label whether it's a capital request or an expense request. But if it just had like capital in parentheses at the end, it would automatically go into our list of capital requests on this spreadsheet that we later send to the city. And I just think this is like easier, more user-friendly than what we were doing before.
Can you amend it? So you say somebody says not sure, can the person accepting and rejecting amend the name?
Well, let me fix my screen's all weird looking right now. And I haven't done this before. I've never had a split screen on my Mac.
I don't know how to use a Mac anymore.
Sorry about this. Okay, whatever. We'll just look at it with a weird thing. But yes, you can edit the request here. Oh, I have to cancel that bit. edit. Yeah, maybe I have to think about this some more, but most of the functionalities work. Um, just having, I have to figure some stuff out. And then we also have this dashboard that in theory is supposed to, yeah, show us all of like the breakdown of the city agencies that all of our requests are going to. And then I think later, further down, before we had a feature that would say like how many requests each committee has approved, how many pending items are for each committee. So you could track each committee's progress and see just like interesting data. And then I also want to add another feature that is somehow able to like provide some insights year over year. So we can see like what happened in fiscal year 27, what happened in fiscal year 28, and then build off of that. But still have to think about process. But for now, like the only real important thing is just committees being like, do we approve this? Do we add this to our request for this year? And trying to make that as easy as possible so that people can do that continually.
The idea that when the request comes in, it has to go to the committee before it's accepted or rejected in this thing? Like, what if it's a request that's just nonsense?
We don't have a way to filter out nonsense really.
So everything would have to go and just have to.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe nonsense ones will be easy to reject. But I'm looking forward to when that becomes a problem because that will mean that people are like
Yeah.
noticing it.
Engaging.
Yeah. And then we'll solve it.
If a member of the public characterize also answers.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Kira, go ahead. You have your hand raised?
Hi, I just wanted to say I think this is really cool. I think it's really cool, and I think the data point that you made, I was literally gonna say the same thing about an interesting data set to show would be the various budgets that you guys have suggested over the years. And then also another interesting data point that I think would be cool, like for the community to see, would be a comparison between what the community's average budget requests are versus what the community board actually asks for. But this is really cool, and it looks vibe coded. I wanted to know if you vibe coded it.
I guess so. I only recently learned what vibe coding was, and I think vibe coding only recently started to exist.
It's well done,
But-
though. It's well done.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the vibes were strong. Yeah, I was impressed that this worked. I used like a different tool called Replit that like is specifically for like designing websites. And then I talked to Derek Stampone, who used to be like a comp sci teacher. And he was like, you should use like Claude Code and do it all like not off of Replit, which is going to just like increase your costs over time and like charge you money like the more people use this. And Claude Code doesn't really do that. So now we have to work out like various like infrastructure aspects of it. But it's all just like there isn't some website that's going to charge you for it. It's just like on my computer.
Just really quick, Kira, I know applications for the community board closed recently, but if you find all of this interesting, you should consider becoming a community board member because we need people like you.
Lucky for you all, I just actually did my group interview today. So all you have to do now is either wish for the best or wish for the worst, whichever.
Well, put in a good word.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're
Thank you,
here.
Dad.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you for the great
No, this
comment.
is super cool. This is super, super cool.
We do cool things every day. CB11. Yeah, so this is a thing that I guess there are like two follow-ups. One is to like keep improving the tool, and the second is to get the committees to like use it. And we have a couple things to do to make it better. And then for your committees, just kind of mention it, see if people are doing it, maybe advocate for people to do it, because it's pretty simple to use and kind of cool. And I'm proud of it personally.
You should be. Yeah, thank you, Sage.
now I'm like, what else? Like, can I start a company? Like,
Bunch of beast.
Okay, that's pretty much it, for the agenda. Old business, none, though much of this kind of was stuff we've discussed before. Yeah, new
Hey,
business.
Sage, sorry,
Yeah.
just quick question to confirm. Is something getting added to the form for the youth and education bit? Because you were
Yes,
saying
I'm gonna add
earlier, and I'm
yes,
willing to
two-
like talk it out with you and negotiate it a little bit, but
yeah, I think for now, my thought is just to add like a parenthetical at the end of that question that's like, by the way, youth and education requires you to present. But we can talk about some other things. What, does anybody object to that?
no, I'm satisfied with that. I'm not gonna argue that.
Yeah, you're the committee chair. I think that's, whatever you want to do. We're just trying to help you with this process.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. And then, so new business, nothing. You want to do the roll call again? Thank you, Corey.
Who wants to stay forever?
Fernando Alvarez, President. Jessica Elliott. Sage Mason.
Present.
Janelle Satija. There you go, Chair.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. So look for follow-ups about district budget consultations and then stuff about the executive budget and yeah. I just got a calendar invite for a call at 9:30 to 10:30 p.m.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Good lord, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, before you say anything.
Oh, sorry.
Right?
Thanks, everybody.
What did you say this meeting?
Mhm.